What's going on, friends? It's Anton Daniels, and I gotta have a conversation with you guys about Tiege Hanley because you see how the sun is hitting me. This is no finesse, no makeup, no filters, no none of that. This is 100% Tiege Hanley. I use it in the morning as soon as I get up, right after I pray and brush my teeth, jump in the shower, and I'm hitting the streets because you never get a second chance to make a first impression. So even though they're giving you 40% off your first order, 20% off for life, even though you may get a free gift, forget all that, right? Because we would do this even if it was full price because it's worth that much. I'm in the streets, I'm kicking it with people when I see Dusties everywhere. You don't want to be them. You want to separate yourself. And the way that you separate yourself is self-care. Ladies get it for the fellas. Fellas don't wait for the ladies to get it for you. I'm about to hit the streets right now and I'm feeling confident. I'm feeling great. I mean, I already got confidence, but to have that extra boost of confidence, knowing that you've taken care of yourself and you set yourself apart from all of the rest of the sheep that's walking around making bad decisions on a daily basis. And it's reflected in their actions. It's reflected in the products that they use. It's reflected in the people that they follow. And so if you're trying to level up, if you're trying to make sure that you look good, they're going to send you the pack. They're going to give you all of the instructions on how you're supposed to use it. Then make sure you get your Tiege Hanley. Again, 40% off your first order, 20% off for life. Get your free gift. Make sure you tap in with your boy Anton Daniels because Unc is never going to lead you wrong. I would never have you use a product that I don't use myself. Again, they've been rocking with me for a long time. Make sure you get your Tiege Hanley. I love you. I appreciate you. I'm going to holler at you guys later. What's going on? Is Anton from AntonDaniels.com. I appreciate you guys for continuing to rock with me. Thank you for tuning in for another edition of the Millionaire Morning Show. I am your host, Anton Daniels. What up? 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 What's going on, friends and family? It was a wild, and when I say wild, I mean wild show last night on After Hours. I think that After Hours is quickly becoming one of my favorite platforms that I have. It switches. It changes depending on I don't know what my mood is, what kind of content we putting together. After Hours is kind of my thing right now. I don't know if it's because it's the channel that I started the latest, so it's the one that means the most to me, and it hasn't yet reached 100,000 subscribers. I don't know if it's just the people that I live stream with. Shout out to Molly, Mika. Shout out to Slim EQ and Carrie, all of the people. Shout out to the chat. Shout out to the chat. Let me just say this. The chat be chatting. The chat is the official sixth man of the year. Center, forward, power forward. I don't know what position that you guys want to play, but the chat is officially the greatest thing ever. Let's be very, very clear. So shout out to everybody. Shout out to everybody that add value into the platform. Even the people that are bad actors, even the people that I have to time out now and again. I haven't gotten to the point. Why when you actually block somebody, when somebody gets so egregious or they become so disrespectful, and it's a couple bad actors, right? And they act like, oh my God, I can't stand you, Anton, and this is the worst thing that ever happened and all of this stuff. Why is it that they always create a new account and then they come back? And then they don't think that you know that it's them that created a brand new account that have a similar profile picture and they saying the exact same rhetoric and they resubscribe so that they can then chat with you guys. And is it that y'all don't want to feel discluded? Is it that you can't find anybody that's better at doing what we do? Is it that you actually feel like family and the black sheep of the family and so you decide that you want to come back? Why is it that I don't understand it? Why do they create new accounts and then resubscribe with the new account so that they can chat again? That makes no sense to me. Anyways, what up, y'all? How y'all feel? What up to all of my friends and family? I appreciate y'all for continuing to hold me down. Thank you to Mike That Dude. Mike That Dude is probably the most consistent person when it comes to holding me down than anybody on Cash App. So I appreciate you, Mike That Dude. Shout out to Spencer Campbell says, what up to the good morning and what up to the bag chasers. I appreciate you, Spence, for holding me down. Chris Cunningham says that Carrie cooked last night. You should have been there. You should have been there. You should have been there. You missed out. You missed out. It was a excellent, excellent live stream. I got to figure out a way to make it shorter. We be doing half shifts on that mug. We be doing 3 and 4 hours. We got to figure out a way to make it shorter because I got to get my people to sleep earlier. I need to get myself to sleep a little bit earlier. Anyways, yeah, man, we just rocking out. Everything is good. What up to Jerry, Zeroyce, Yakar, Anaka, Dan, Red Cup Talks with my girl Mika, Jennifer. What up, though? What up to Relax Sound says, Bobby Sherry, I appreciate you. Trini Life, what up, though? E Senior, K Cooper, A Dunn. Y'all already being dusty? Y'all already being dusty? Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. We'll get there. Anyways, I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Let me read a couple of super chats, and then we going to go ahead and rock out. Tara for being late. I gave y'all overtime yesterday with after hours. You got to let me sleep in a little bit, right? Shout out to Aaron Good. I appreciate you. Abundance Mindset says, my guy, I missed 2 days and feel like I missed a lot. You did. You did. But I'm going to bring y'all up to speed today. We got tariffs everywhere. Canada is pulling back on their tariffs while they still getting tariffed. Europe said that they want to re-tariff and tariffed because they getting tariffed. We got Elon Musk at the front of the congregation. The House actually passed the budget to keep the government open and didn't shut down. We got a lot. We got a lot to cover news-wise, and we're going to get into it. Shout out to Abundance Mindset. I appreciate you. Shout out to Bag Chasers. I will encourage you guys, if you are not already and you're looking to rock out with a group of people that's going in the direction that you're going in, make sure you tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. Also, shout out to the show sponsor, Tiege Hanley, 40% off your first order plus 20% off for life. If you are not a Tiege Pack person, ladies, you can get it for yourself too. But if you are not a Tiege Hanley person that is down for the cause and you need to make sure that you get rid of any of those other products, make sure you rock out with Tiege. Again, 40% off your first order plus 20% off for life is awesome. All right? Y'all ready to rock out? Y'all ready to get it? It's Wednesday. It's hump day. Y'all got a day off. I don't get a day off because I got to actually get this interview done. I was supposed to have this. I recorded with Jason Wilson probably 3 weeks ago at this point. I don't know. Man, listen, man, getting those longer interviews, that's why I ain't been doing them because I don't want to edit them. Getting those longer interviews done and edited, it's not the recording, it's not the work, it's the interview itself, the editing process, and then the audio, and it's like, oh. That's the reason why I had originally hired an editor in the first place, but then they wound up going off to school and stuff like that, but whew, editing them interviews, man. Y'all ready, Anaka? All right. Lord, we ask that you bless us today and rebuke distractions. Bless us to stay focused because we realize distractions cost us money, God. You know, distractions slow us down from the thing that we need to do so that we can get to the space that we need to be at. Rebuke distractions. Bless us to stay 100% zeroed in and focused on what we got to take care of so that we can run up a bag. We love you. We appreciate you. We appreciate you. We rocking out. In Jesus' name. All right. Well, y'all ready to get it popping? Let's go ahead and get started. So, first things first, we got to go over to the House because the reason why a lot of liberals don't want to talk about this, they don't want to really bring this to the front of the congregation because we actually avoided a government shutdown. You don't say. So we actually passed a budget that allows for us to get savings to trim off while at the same time, nobody is missing a paycheck. Nobody is getting furloughed. What? And it's funny because House Speaker Mike Johnson, he said, you know, it's unfortunate that the Democrats refuse. And when I say refuse, they absolutely positively will never get on board. They refuse to do the right thing. Not one of them actually sees value in doing the right thing for the American people, for voting for or having a conversation about what's best for the American people as far as a budget so that people can get their paychecks, that the government don't shut down, that we get the savings that we need. But y'all want to stand on what exactly? You got a 21% approval rating. Well, don't worry about it. Anyways, a reporter had asked Mike Johnson before they actually passed the budget if they had the votes, and why would he hold Democrats accountable if he already had the votes. He said, we got the votes. It doesn't mean that two things can't be true at the same time. It doesn't mean that the AOCs and the Jasmine Crockett's and all of these people should not be voting to make sure that they do their job. So if they're not going to do their job, if they're not going to actually work with us to get a budget passed, especially considering with the American people in which Trump won all of the swing states, and there's a mandate from the American people to do what's being done right now, why wouldn't they work with us? Instead, they continue to have their approval rating plummeting. So basically, they're just out here making TikToks and doing interviews instead of doing their job. They have no job to do whatsoever except for to hold town halls, I guess, and to have a good time. Anyways, this is the result of what happened during the budget. Make sure, again, that you guys hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Let's rock it.
As we're following the latest with this continuing resolution that moved through the House 217 to 215, and we're hearing from different lawmakers there outside of the Capitol Hill. We're still awaiting potentially Mike Johnson to step, as you see plenty of lawmakers, reporters awaiting his presence. Let's take you, though, outside of this to a Republican from Kentucky. I think that is Thomas Massey, the lone Democrat, the lone Republican, I should say, to vote no. Let's listen into this live on Live Now from Fox.
When they wanted to do a CR in September 2024, wait till after the election. Then we were told, after the election, wait until we've got the Senate majority installed, and then we'll fight and we'll implement Trump's agenda. But there's no fight in them. It's basically Biden's agenda cut, copied, pasted into the discretionary budget.
Do you expect the same thing to happen again in September?
We should be doing 12 separate bills, right, and we should be doing those over the summer. I suspect there's going to be very little effort to do that, because what 12 separate bills gets you is only 1/12 of the government stops functioning if one of those 12 bills doesn't pass. This place loves to have the threat of a shutdown. They can get the Freedom Caucus to vote for Biden's agenda with the threat of a shutdown, which is what they did here today.
And what's your reaction to President Trump putting on Truth Social that your days are numbered?
You know, Trump, he spent the whole day attacking me and Canada, and the difference is Canada caved.
But do you think, are you worried about?
Did he just walk off like a sassy girlfriend? No, he didn't. No, he didn't just walk off like a sassy girlfriend after he got his thoughts off. No, you didn't. You son of a... I can't believe what I'm seeing right now. This dude just walked off like a sassy girlfriend.
All right.
Let me rewind that. Let me see something.
Social that your days are numbered.
You know, Trump, he spent the whole day attacking me and Canada, and the difference is Canada caved.
But do you think, are you worried?
Well, we're definitely going to get to Canada shortly, but no, you didn't. You turned around and flipped your hair and flipped your bangs, and you decided that you wanted to go against the establishment, that you wanted to sit here and complain and whine. You wanted to be the black sheep. You wanted to have a holdout. All right. We're going to remember that. I'm going to revisit this conversation a little later. Anyways, let's continue. We don't want to get distracted. We want to continue to stay on top of things. Let's not get distracted. Let's focus, and let's get to it, okay? No, you didn't.
All right. Thomas Massey there. This is Andrew Kraft, and you've been listening there to the lone Republican who voted against House Speaker Mike Johnson's funding bill. Though the funding bill did pass, we do have Speaker Mike Johnson. He just stepped up to the podium. We do want to start it from the very beginning, and he's going to explain what happens next with all of this as this bill now goes to the Senate. Here's Speaker Mike Johnson.
The Republicans stood together, and we had one Democrat vote with us to do the right thing, and that is to fund the government. This was
shout out to that one Democrat that did the right thing.
A clean CR. It freezes funding. It's a responsible thing to do. and we're ensuring that troops continue to get their paychecks and TSA agents continue to do their work and be paid, and essential workers on the border and elsewhere are doing their jobs. It's shameful what happened on the Democrat side. They engaged in a misinformation campaign. They put out talking points about the bill on Friday before the bill was even filed, which was Saturday afternoon. They've been lying and misrepresenting.
Which is exactly what I have been seeing. I've been seeing Democrats running around, and it's a shame that you guys, it's a shame. It is a crying shame that you guys are falling for the okie doke. And that how can they speak on something that hadn't even been put out in the first place? They're telling you, oh man, they're going to defund Social Security. Oh my God, they're going to completely get rid of Medicaid in order to get these savings. They're going on MSNBC, Jasmine Crockett. They're jumping on TikTok, AOC. They're holding town halls, Bernie Sanders. And y'all are still falling for the okie doke, and you don't even have to lean into legacy media to find out the truth. You can literally go and find out for yourself. Everything is public information. All we do here on the Millionaire Morning Show is give our opinion on it and break down what we think based off of the information that's presented. We give our opinion depending on where it is that we stand on a specific issue at that time. It doesn't matter whether it's crime in the neighborhood or it's a budget that's being passed. How can they present you information? And that was what I was mulling all weekend. How can they present you from information if there was no proposal that was available for them to actually speak to? But they speaking the talking points. They was making TikToks. They did the Choose Your Fighter campaign. They did all of this nonsense. And we seen what was happening last week with Al Green and all of these people. Al Green couldn't wait to go on the Breakfast Club. I didn't even watch the interview because I said that this is a despicable legislator. This is a despicable congressman that wants to get famous, that wants some visibility, that's trying to hold on to a seat. He couldn't wait to go and do his Breakfast Club interview and to sit on there with Charlemagne and DJ Envy. Couldn't wait to get on there. Instead, he should have been doing his job, but he wanted to sit there on the Breakfast Club and have a good conversation and try to get his name up, get his reps in.
Representing the facts about what's in the bill, and the American people can read it for themselves. It's only 99 pages long. We did our job today, and it's shameful that they will stop at nothing. They will suggest that this bill is something that it's not, and they will run out the clock to shut down the government in a desperate attempt to stop the America First agenda. But I will tell you that President Trump and Republicans in Congress will stop at nothing to deliver on that agenda. We are going to continue to work hard. We will continue to stick together and get this job done, and it's an essential one. Now that the government funding bill has been passed out of the House, we send it to the Senate, and it falls on the desk of Chuck Schumer. He is the leader of the Democrats on that side, and he must determine whether he wants to fund the government, do the responsible thing, or whether he wants to shut the government down. And I certainly hope that there are enough Democrats in the Senate who have a conscience, who will do the right thing by the American people, and take care of business over there. So, any questions? Anybody?
Are you expecting a shutdown?
I certainly hope not. I believe they'll do it. I believe the Republicans will stick together in the Senate as we have in the House. And I hope.
Which is why we needed to control all three branches of government to get anything done. If you want to keep your government open, if you want to make sure that we continue to make progress, if you want to see change. And when I say change, I'm not talking about the little things here and there, little details, little dots. We want to have men and women's bathrooms. No, I'm not talking about that kind of change. I'm talking about sweeping financial change. If you want to see things actually get done, this is what it takes. And this is why it was important for us to not just focus on who the president of the United States of America was, but for us to control all three branches of government. Because unlike Trump's first term, he can actually get things done faster, quicker, smoother, without a whole lot of problems and issues. And he's executing and being transparent and making himself available to the people. We've never seen an administration this transparent, but he couldn't get this done in his first term. It was impossible for him to actually do the things that the American people wanted him to do. And so he had to go and sidestep here and do an executive action there and then throw that. And as soon as they stole the election in 2020, they undid everything that he did at the border. They start giving you all of this inflation. Now we got to come in. They trying to blame Trump for not lowering prices within 40 days of him getting into office. We're going to get there, but we'll get there.
There are at least a number of Democrats in the Senate who will do the right thing. If not, this will be on their shoulders, and everybody in America knows that.
Mr. Speaker, on the other legislative undertaking, reconciliation, some senators yesterday suggested that they can get the ball rolling by sometime like August, which is far beyond your timeline.
August is far too late. No, we're going to move that ball a lot faster than that, and we'll be talking with our colleagues and friends, Republican leadership in the Senate about this. They will be working the rest of this week, and then I think both chambers are doing district work next week. When we get back, this will begin in earnest, and we'll have leaders and lieutenants, committee chairs of jurisdiction in both chambers working together to begin that process, to finish up the resolution and move forward with budget reconciliation. That's going to be a very important thing for the country.
A rescissions package, a lot of folks have spoken about that in part with this continuing resolution. What's the status of that?
We anticipate that we will get a rescissions package from the White House as soon as all the calculations are made. The reason we took this step now is to allow for that process to continue to play out. And the DOGE efforts and the other things that are happening in the administration are very important for the American people, because ultimately what we're going to be able to do is downsize the size and scope of the federal government, make it work more efficiently and effectively for the people, and identify these extraordinary areas of fraud, waste, and abuse and eliminate that. So a rescission request from the White House would come over appropriately in the right timing when they have the calculations done, and Congress will do its job there. We are going to deliver for the American people.
So thank you guys.
We're not sure yet. They're working on the calculations, which is the reason we could not include it today. But we do anticipate that. We're going to work hand in hand with the White House, and I want to compliment President Trump on his ability to be so involved that he's watching this step by step. He is determined to deliver for the people, and we are as well. So this is a well-coordinated effort between the White House and our Senate Republican colleagues and House Republicans. So we'll continue to work in that partnership to get this agenda done. Thank you.
All right.
So shout out to our House Republicans, House Republicans forever, House Democrats never. Ain't that something Umar Johnson would say? Shout out to the House Republicans. Shout out to Trump for continuously working with Congress to get things done. And we now have a budget reconciliation, and we can keep the federal government funded. Hopefully the Senate does their job and they don't wait until the last minute to get things taken care of. And I think that this is a good thing. I think it is it's phenomenal to see that our government branches are actually doing their job, to working on behalf of the American people and not slow-footing it, not taking their time, not messing up over the money, not shutting things down, but we're actually being productive, and we're more productive than I've ever seen in my entire lifetime. Shout out to all of the House Republicans. I love it. I love it. I love it. Anyways, let's continue on with the show. Again, make sure you hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. I want to acknowledge, give me a second. I want to acknowledge Foxhole 99. Foxhole 99 says, egg prices dropped more than this chat in a week. I'm not really sure what that means. That S chat part is throwing me off a little bit. But shout out to Foxhole 99 for holding us down. I appreciate you for contributing into the platform. Let me remind people that I do not ask for anything. I don't ask for anybody to contribute Cash App, Super Chat, or any of that. I also want to acknowledge our streets. Shout out to our streets for holding me down also, and everybody that contributes into the platform. We're just appreciative, okay? You are not obligated to give anything, but I don't care if it's $1 or whatever. I am always going to acknowledge, no matter how long that I have these platforms, I'm always going to acknowledge anybody that contributes into the platform, because you don't have to do it. The only thing that we're asking you for is a like for the algorithm if this is your first time here. If you've been here more than once, then that means that you enjoyed something and you want to continue to see what we're doing. And that would mean that I would ask you to subscribe to the channel and turn on your notifications. A plus is if you decide that you want to share this with your family and friends, because we don't want to be successful by ourselves. All right? Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you to everybody that hold us down. It does not go without notice, and we very much appreciate what you got going on. Okay? All right. Let's continue on with the show. In addition to that, Canada. Do y'all know the "Oh Canada" song, the Canadian song? I know that we sing it a lot of times because we have a lot of Canadian teams in hockey, right? There, Canada, hockey, Canada. That's synonymous. You know what I'm saying? Even though we hockey town here in Detroit, Michigan, but they sing a lot of the Canadian anthem. I don't know what it is. I don't want to disrespect it, so I want to make sure that I get it right. Y'all know? Is it "Oh Canada"? Is that what it is? And we also get the Toronto Raptors. So when the Toronto Raptors come here, you see a lot of fans that is from Canada over there in Windsor drive over to the United States of America, and we see what's popping here. You know what I'm saying? I see a lot of them in the stands when we go to NBA games and we play the Toronto Raptors. But remember earlier in the week and late last week where we were getting threats from Canada saying that they were going to do some of the toughest tariffs and throw surcharges and turn up the electricity costs and all of that stuff. Remember all of that? Y'all don't remember that? And then Trump said, listen, fam, we doing reciprocal tariffs, meaning that for anything that you decide that you want to retaliate with, we going to throw it on top of it, and so it's going to be a no-win situation, and we going to see who blinks first. We going to see who blinks first. Have y'all ever heard that Bad Meets Evil song with Eminem and Royce the 5'9"? Too hard, yo, I done heard worse. We can get in two cars and accelerate at each other to see which one will swerve first. Two blind bandits panic, whose mental capacity holds that of a globe on top of 9 other planets. Kiss the cheek of the devil. Intelligence level was hellier than trouble peaking on speaker witness devil. Dismissal, I'm not a fair man. Disgrace the race of an atheist. Intercept the missiles with my bare hands like a patriot. Have y'all ever heard that song? Y'all never heard Bad Meets Evil? Because this is what happens when Bad meets evil. And we hit the trees till we look like Vietnamese people. He's evil, and I'm bad like Steve Spiegel, above the law, because I don't believe in police either. Me neither. Y'all ain't never heard that song? Shout out to M. Shout out to Royce the 5'9". I don't always agree with their politics, but let's be clear. They are absolutely phenomenal in their lyricism. But don't call Bad Meets Evil. We love Bad Meets Evil. Shout out to you. Yeah. They blinked. They blinked. We gonna see who blinked first. And they blinked. So they tried to save face a little bit and say, oh man, the secretary, we had a conversation with the secretary and all of this stuff. Yeah, but let's get into it. Again, make sure you hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. This is what's happening with old Canada, and Doug Ford, the premier, decided that he wanted to come on an interview, and this is what he said, and his pleading to the American people.
Joining me now is Doug Ford. He is the Premier of Ontario. Mr. Premier, we appreciate you again making time for us here on Meet the Press Now. Obviously, Vaughn just noted it, and we've been reporting in the last several minutes here that you announced that you're lifting. What assure? Obviously, Vaughn just noted it, and we've been reporting in the last several minutes here that you announced that you're lifting that 25% surcharge on electricity exports after talking with the Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick. Take us inside that conversation, if you will.
Let's fast forward a little bit.
As we're duking it out back and forth, we and Fortress. And as for the aluminum and steel, 16% of the aluminum that the U.S. makes is produced in the U.S. The rest, vast majority of it, comes from Quebec, Canada, along with steel. But let's work together. Cooler heads have to prevail here, or we'll decimate both economies. And we're seeing it over the last few days.
Understood. So in your conversation then, obviously you've agreed to not implement the surcharge. Did the Commerce Secretary offer you anything in exchange? Was there an understanding that the U.S. would be making a concession as well?
Well, they made the concession of dropping the additional 25%. They had it up to 50% on the steel and aluminum, and a meeting. We need to sit down at the table. We need to move forward this USMCA deal as soon as possible. Every single day that goes by, We see the market down over $4 trillion. Inflation's happening. Threats of assembly plants in the auto sector closing down on both sides of the border. Manufacturing, consumer confidence is down.
So what he's basically saying to you guys is, because the question was asked, hey, did Trump drop his tariffs on y'all? He said Trump decided that he said that he would drop his reciprocal tariffs on us, and he promised us a meeting. Shout out to my Canadian brothers and sisters over there. You guys, absolutely. I admire your ability to be diplomatic and accept the original tariffs that Trump put on you and not want the reciprocal tariffs, because for whatever reason, y'all decided that y'all wanted to get strong. You wanted to buck up. You wanted to show us who's boss. We glad that you decided to rescind those tariffs and appeal to the American people, while at the same time seeking a meeting with the Trump administration to try to prevent this from continuing to go on. We salute you. We salute you. Bruto says he's right. A lot of steel and aluminum comes from Canada. That is the problem. This is the thing that I've been trying to tell you guys for a long time. That is the problem. The fact that we only make 16% of our aluminum here in the United States of America, that needs to increase. That's the whole point of Trump incentivizing and saving the steel and aluminum industry and telling them that they need to expand and find ways to reinvest inside of the United States of America, because our industries need to be the industries that serve our industries. That's the whole point, is that we should not have over 84% of our aluminum being shipped inside the United States of America that's used for American products. Now you're starting to understand it. Now you're starting to get it. Now you see why we need to focus on making America great again. That is the entire premise behind what Trump is trying to tell you. We need to be less dependent. Doesn't mean that you can't be a partner if you are another country like Canada, but we need to be less dependent. And then we cannot have people taking advantage of us on other products, and that they're blocking our ability to be able to sell products over to Canada, but they want to sell us more products. And then you think that that's best for the American consumers, or for men, for women, for people in the future generation. They will be blaming you for not standing strong. They will be mad at you for not standing strong and being on top of it. They will. They will be blaming you because you did not get on board, you did not take care of business, and you was not on top of it. It's going to be your fault. It'll be your fault.
Need to sit down, get this done. We're the largest customer for the U.S. We love the American people, and I do. I spent 20 years of my life there, and I just want to make a deal that's a fair deal for both countries. And let's unite, and let's stick together.
So if I understood you correctly, there will still be a 25% tariff enacted on Canadian steel and aluminum tomorrow. Are you comfortable with that? Are you prepared to reinstate your surcharges potentially down the road?
Well, we have $30 billion of tariffs against the U.S. I can't stand tariffs. Let's work things out. Let's sit down. Let's make both countries prosperous and the greatest two countries in the world.
So, short answer, the United States is still tariffing Canada, but we glad that y'all decided that y'all wanted to remove the tariffs and remove the electricity surcharges. We appreciate it. We need cheaper prices while we continue to build up U.S. infrastructure and have companies invested in our country.
And that's what we need to do. Rather than arguing back and forth, let's sit down and move forward.
Okay, Dizzle, hold on. This us versus them mentality is so stupid. I don't look at it as an us versus them mentality. Hey, remember when all of you Black Lives Matters advocates and you said, no, we don't want to hear all lives matters. We want to hear Black Lives Matters. And we said, well, why shouldn't all lives matter, or why shouldn't Black lives matter to Black people, and making sure that we don't kill our own within our own communities? How come we not spending more time focused on that? And you said, just because Black lives matters doesn't mean that all lives don't matter, but we want to focus on making sure that we eliminate all of the problems and the police brutality and all of this stuff. Now, you were misguided and misdirected. I loved your enthusiasm, but it doesn't mean that you didn't take on the wrong cause and it didn't make America any better. It just made us more divided. However, this is not a us versus them. This is me not letting you continue to use me and take advantage of it while I'm not benefiting from the relationship. A lot of y'all sit here and y'all say, and I like to always bring it back down to a season's perspective so you can better understand what's going on. If you are in a relationship with somebody, the person that you lay next to, and all you continue to do is give, and the only thing that they can do is say, look, my husband took care of me, but they not giving out, they not putting out, they not adding value, she won't cook, her house is dirty, so you got to go to work, you got to take care of the kids, you got to clean the house, and you got to make sure that she's taken care of. Also, she can sit there and say, look, I got a good man, and the only thing you do is you get a shout out on TikTok so all of these women can continue to take advantage of you. It's not a good relationship. You are being used. You are being misused. You are not reciprocating, and you are not adding value into his life just because you had his kids and you live in a soft life. That's why men say, what do you bring to the table? Because they now are smartening up and they saying, listen, it's cool. That's cute and all. You fine. But you ain't worth the squeeze. The juice ain't worth the squeeze. So what I have to do is I got to figure out what's best for me. And then I'm going to pour more into me instead of pouring into you because you're not pouring back into me. And so we got to take care of home first. We messed up in the United States of America, believe it or not. This is not a us versus them. This is a me making sure that I'm taken care of before I start focusing on what everybody else wants from me. I can't keep pouring into you if I got an empty cup. I say it all the time. You got to be selfish before you selfless. You have to be selfish before you're selfless. You got to get yourself together so that when I come into this relationship with you, I'm whole and I can give you more because I can pour over. My cup runneth over. I can't sit here and contribute into the community and my daughter is going to go to school and have to take out student loans. No, I got to make sure that I take care of home first. I got to get the beam out of my own eye. I'm not going to go over there and volunteer to go and clean up a park if I got trash all over my lawn. I got to clean up my own lawn. That's all we doing over here in the United States of America. This is not a us versus them. This is what's best for me so that I can be a good partner for you. Tell your girl that. Tell the other, why you ain't call me today? Listen, you know I'm working, baby. You know I'm working. But you don't spend no time. You're not focused on me. Listen. I got to let you go. Then she going to start crying. But you tell her, say, hey, listen, I got to let you go. I got to pull back a little bit. I'm no good to anybody if I'm not good to myself. And then, you know, when I'm whole and when God is through with me, that means that I'm going to be the best version of me for you. But I can't pour out of an empty cup. If you want the best version of me, then this is what I got. And you know what she going to do? Oh my God, I love you so much. Thank you for being open with me and honest. Listen, I want to be there for you. I want to make sure. See, the tables is going to flip a little bit. And so for all of y'all that keep simping, like the United States of America for years and decades, my entire lifetime almost, has been simping for other countries. The minute that you start saying no and you stand up for yourself, you'll get more out of the relationship. Now they want to have a conversation. Now Canada wants to fly over and meet. Now they want to figure out how we can be better partners. Now you want to figure out how you can add value into the relationship. When it was one-sided, you didn't trip. You just didn't say nothing because you didn't want to upset what it is that you already had going on. But what we see now happen in the United States of America is similar to a man that was in an abusive relationship. Abuse don't always have to be physical because they know that we the stronger vessel. Other countries know that we got the strongest military in the world. So abuse is not always overt. Sometimes it's covert. And we've been getting abused financially. We've been getting abused emotionally, and now they trying to manipulate us and act like they our best friend, and they not going to be our best friend if we don't continue to put money into their pockets. No, we got to fix ourselves. We got debt. We got to pay off our student loans. We got to make sure that our citizens is not treasonous. We got to get all of these people that's in our house that's been tearing up our house all of this time, these illegal immigrants, we got to get them out of there, and they got to go and get their own country together. Everybody need to fix themselves before we come back to the table. That is the translation of what America is right now, and why Trump is saying, listen, we can't do it anymore. We got to make sure we fix home first. That's what's happening.
On this deal, we're the two most important allies in the world. And rather than fighting, we need to sit down and move forward and be united for the rest of the world to see.
So when you have that sit down with the Commerce Secretary and with the Trade Representative, what do you hope to accomplish? How do you walk out of that meeting on Thursday feeling like...
This is the greatest show on earth, because I'm going to break it down in a way that you can understand it, because it's not always conducive for you to look at it from a political or a financial perspective. Sometimes you need it to relate to it in a way that actually is relatable for your life so you can get it. You know what I'm saying?
Things are better and will get better down the road.
Well, we have to make sure that we both send out a message. The markets, I always say, the markets dictate, and the markets have been tumbling. And hopefully that will give a little more certainty to people throughout the world, but especially in the U.S. and Canada. As the markets tumble, people's pension funds will get hurt, investments will get hurt. And that's the last thing we want to do as two great nations, is to hurt the people of the U.S. or hurt the people of Canada.
So coming to this agreement now, have you been in touch at all with the Prime Minister's office, with Justin Trudeau or Mark Carney, about the actions you're taking here? Are they backing you up?
Yes, I'll be heading down with the Finance Minister, Minister LeBlanc, and also Ambassador Hillman. We'll have a conversation with Secretary Lucknecht and his whole team. But this is the right decision on both sides. Nothing happens if you don't sit down and discuss the issues. Let's get the differences on the table. Let's come up with a solution, and let's move forward.
I have to ask you, we've heard President Trump several times, and particularly in the last few days, make reference to Canada becoming the 51st state. Obviously, this is something that folks there in Canada have talked about, have responded to. What's your thinking about the president's comments on that? Is that something that you're taking seriously, at least coming from him?
Well, that's never going to happen. So let's move on from the 51st state. Let's move forward and talk about opportunities for Americans and Canadians. That's what we need to talk about. Future opportunities, protect ourselves against our foes around the world, be it China or anyone else that wants to try to economically or otherwise attack the U.S. and Canada. We need to stick together.
All right, Premier Doug Ford of Ontario.
Thank you, Doug Ford. We appreciate you for making sure that you are the voice of Canada. We think that you are a reasonable person, and we look forward to finding out exactly what those talks are and if they bear fruit. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Anton from AntonDaniels.com is going to continue to cook. I'm going to continue to break it down from a C student's perspective, and I want y'all to understand what's going on, and that's why I love you. I love you, so that you can then go back to your people and say, hey, this is what's happening between the United States of America and Canada. Let me tell you what's happening. It's like a relationship, right? We don't want to be misused. You might not be able to break it down the way that I break. Put it in your own words, okay? When you go and talk to your people and you're having these conversations, try to make it to where you can put it in your own words. Don't say it exactly the way that I said it, because it may not hit the same. You know, you may not be able to spit it the same way that I spit it, but put it in your own words. Take what I said and then use it accordingly so that you can educate your own people, and then we can spread the word. All right? All right, let me read some of these super chats. I appreciate y'all for holding me down. Look at Jamie's. Look at James is in the building. James says, I just want to say thank you, Mr. Daniels, for amazing shows and advice. I recently joined the Bag Chasers, and I'm ready to learn more. Welcome. Y'all welcome James inside of the Bag Chasers. We love him. James, make sure you tap into the Discord, the link to the Discord is in the description of any of the most recent videos inside of the Patreon. All right. Welcome. We welcome you, my brother. Thank you for joining in. We appreciate you and welcome to the tribe. Mark the Mariner says Japan makes more steel than the U.S. right now. We can't support our Navy maritime without imported steel. Anyone against tariffs has no foresight. Sean Duncan III goes on to say, hey, Anton, I'm a 26-year-old man working 2 jobs currently. My girlfriend of 6 months told me she's pregnant. You only been here. Oh, wait. We got bigger problems here. I'm $5K in debt, but she isn't. I don't want to delete it, but she doesn't. I don't know what to do. Well, guess what, Sean? My 26-year-old man working 2 jobs that had this girl in his life as a girlfriend for 6 months. Guess what? 18 years. And at the end of that sentence, he found out it wasn't his. Make sure you get a DNA test at birth. Don't run from your responsibilities. Make sure you marry her, because if she was good enough to put a baby in her, then she's good enough to marry. And then make sure that you do the thing that you're supposed to do and get things on board. Welcome to adulthood. Now it's time to grow up. I'm not about to sit. Listen. I'm going to be very, very frank and definitive with this one. All right? I'm going to be very, very transparent with you. We not deleting babies, big dog. We not deleting babies. We not even going to have that conversation. We not going to go against God order. You decided that you wanted to open up and have sex with her unprotected. Make sure you get a DNA test at birth, and make sure you go ahead and make her yours. Is she yours anyway for the rest of your life? She yours through the child for the rest of your life. Do not run from your responsibility. This is what we do. We man up now. Now you gotta grow up. Time to put away being a boy. Time to put away being the boy. And it's time to go ahead and man up. And guess what? You do what you gotta do. Do what it takes to make sure that you raise your child. Do not ever, ever, ever have a broken household. Man up. Man up. Man up, dog. You was doing big boy things. You was doing grown up things. Now it's time to do big boy, to do grown up, take on a man's role. Man up, dog. Put some hair on your chest. That's yours. That's yours. You rocked out with her. You laid up with her. You was living with her. And now you got to man up because you got her pregnant. That's yours now. Ain't no, I want to retreat. I don't know what to do. I got to delete it. Nah, it's yours. You did it. That's a whole life right there. Ain't no deleting. Ain't no going back. This is why I say you have to be proactive. Everybody want to say, Anton, be reactive. What's going on in the culture? No, I try to tell people what to do so that they don't put themselves in a difficult situation in the first place. Now you made the decision. You didn't make the decision when you said it. You made the decision when you decided to skeet in her. That's yours. That's your girl. That's your chick. And don't try to make her a single baby mama. Nope. It's yours now. Make it work. Make it work. Get on a debt repayment plan. Start putting together what y'all need to do. Make sure that you go ahead and lower your lifestyle. All of that clubbing, all of that, whatever it is that y'all doing, hanging out in the streets, that ain't you no more. You can't hang out the same way that everybody else is hanging out with. You can't do the same things that everybody else is doing. Your life is now based off of what's best for the child. I don't know if that's what you was expecting for me, but I'm going to just tell you the truth. I'm not going to pity pat it. I'm not going to tell you, oh man, what is she like? I'm not going to try to go back and forth with you and say, hey, what does she bring to the table? No. The minute that you decided that you wanted to have a kid with her, that's yours. That's your chick. That's your kid. Own it. Take care of it. Make sure you do what you're supposed to do and be blessed by God. Be blessed. Anybody else want to go out here and play house, be girlfriend and boyfriend? Me, kissing in a tree, KISSING. Anybody else want to go out here and do what you want to do when you want to do it? You want to play it your way, or you want to go ahead and be proactive and get on board and learn what you need to learn so you can be successful. Anybody else? He didn't ruin his life. Now he has a better life. Now he's forced to grow up. Now he's going to learn what it really takes to be a man. No time for video games. We got to get that bag. No time for hanging out with y'all on the street corner. We got to get that bag. No time for focusing on what all of the fellas is doing. I got to make sure that I'm here and I'm being a father so I can bond with my child. I got to make sure that I put my wife in the best position possible so that she can add value into my child. We need to have a conversation about the long-term view and what it is that we're going to do as far as what's best for this child. All of that playing games, all of this, oh man, I want to figure out what I want to do. Nope, it's over. Now we're going to be blessed on the flip side. There's blessings to be in this. But you got to do the right thing. You got to get married, make an honest woman of her, get a DNA test at birth so you can make sure that you protect yourself and go forth, my child, and do the thing that men do. We take care of business. We don't mess around. We don't dodge our responsibilities. We run to them. We don't run from it. You looking for me to tell you to run from your responsibilities. I'm telling you that you have to run head first to your responsibilities. I don't run from responsibilities. I run to my responsibilities. I own it as mine's now. You ready? Y'all ready to continue on? I'm going to tell you the truth. All right, let's get it. Don't run from it. Let's get it. Let me read the rest of these super chats. We continue over with the show. Double Jeopardy says to Canada, you want to build houses for daddy now. N8, I appreciate you, says, or Nate says, about after hours last night, married men have inherent parental rights and women can't just take the children. Men mess up when they leave the home. Appreciate you. 392Q in the building says, how dare you get mad at us for taking advantage of you and not giving you anything? F them. El Manny says, U.S. heavy defense weapons spread out in Canada and Canadians' reproduction of icebreaker ships in the Arctic to keep China and Russia at bay. A new superpower can be created, but you need to stop voting for liberals. Mike Brown goes on to say, hey, AD, Rashida Tlaib becomes the lone House lawmaker opposing cracking down on Mexican cartels' border tunnel systems. Send that to me. What up, Anton? Could you sing happy birthday to my 8-year-old son, Chancellor, for me? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Chancellor. Happy birthday to you. Shout out to Chancellor and happy birthday, big dog. I appreciate you. Your dad loves you. Stat Sheet Stuffer says, C student question. Is Massey not allowed to disagree? This is one of the issues I have with the Dems. Am I missing something? He's allowed to do whatever it is that he want to do. Listen, you can do what you want to do in his lifetime, but it doesn't mean that you're not going to have to be accountable for the decisions that you make, right? The greater the decision and the more disagreement that you have, the more impact that that's going to have on the American people and ultimately your career. You got to own that. All right? I'm cool with it. Disagree. It is what it is. Envy is in the building, says, I'm 27. My African girlfriend is 37. My mom and aunts hate it, but I love it. Am I making the right decision? I don't know enough about your girlfriend, but if it's me personally, I'm not going to get involved with a woman that's 10 years older. It's not going to happen, big dog. Nah. Does she have kids? What's going on with her? I mean, we need to have more conversations about what the context of it is, but personally, I think that you should ultimately listen to your mom and your aunts. They know that a woman that is 37 getting involved with a 27-year-old guy that probably doesn't have kids and is probably on his way up is probably a bad do for him. So I wouldn't get involved with a woman that's 10 years older than me personally at any point in my life. I don't care if I'm 27, 37, 47, or 57. I don't want to talk to a 67. Not me. Not me. Hey, man, y'all going to have to get some D-discipline. I know she put it on you. She know 10 years worth of stuff that you're not even familiar with, dog. That's why you in love. Got to take the scales from your eyes. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, make sure you hit a like for the algorithm. This is a good show. This is an entertaining show. Hit a like for the algorithm. Subscribe to the channel and turn on your notifications. Trump. It's not just Canada that we're focusing on. We're focusing on the world. The world is not going to take advantage of us. The world will not take advantage of us inside of the United States of America. And overnight, Trump decided to impose tariffs on Europe for steel and aluminum products. Make sure you hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Let's deep dive into it, y'all.
Breaking overnight, President Trump enacting sweeping new tariffs on steel and aluminum, 25%. Europeans are retaliating in a major way. And this morning, the huge concern is American consumers who are caught in the middle of all this and could soon be paying the price literally. Let's walk you through this really quick. Overnight, the president slapped 25% tariffs on all steel and aluminum imports from all countries. And just a few hours later, Europe's remarkable retaliation, $28 billion worth of tariffs, they now have imposed on U.S. goods going into their countries. Bottom line, the uncertainty everyone was already feeling just got upstaged by this word. Unjustified. That is how the EU and close allies like Australia are feeling about Trump's actions right now, as U.S. markets soon open after yesterday's volatile close.
Everyone is keeping a very close eye on futures, of course, and preparing for what is to come with the markets when they open very soon after President Trump's latest round of tariffs kicked in at midnight. An across-the-board 25% tariff on all foreign steel and aluminum coming into the United States, both metals used in the manufacturing so many things, from cars to medical devices to food cans, which means higher prices for American businesses, many of them, and also American consumers. CNN's Vanessa Yurkevich, she is here with a look at all of this. What is the impact on all this?
Well, this trade war just went global.
Yeah.
The 25% tariffs on aluminum and steel coming into the country took effect at midnight. And as you mentioned, so many things are made with steel and aluminum. And if you just look at all the countries that we import steel and aluminum from, I mean, there they are. And that is a big, big number. Also, to point out that
Now, I want y'all to realize something, that just right before Trump became president of the United States of America, one of the things that Biden was doing was trying to sell off our steel industry as though we have not given everything to every other country and owners within our countries that are from other places so that we can ultimately shut it down and then having them basically import everything over to us. So basically, Biden, and up until this point, because Trump saved the steel industry and he saved the aluminum industry in his first term, up until this point, we've been basically selling off the United States of America. Now, of course, you're going to have a bunch of women on CNN saying, oh my God, I can't believe it. Look, we import steel for everything. Guess what happens? We bolster our own workers, our own steel mills, our own small towns. We bolster what's happening in Pittsburgh. We save the industries in Gary, Indiana. We save the industries in Dearborn, Michigan. We save the Midwest. We save what's happening down there in Baltimore. We save what's happening over there at the docks and the ports over on the West Coast. We now can focus on what's best inside of the United. If you want to ship cheaper products over here than we can make for ourselves, that is problematic. Our products need to be serviced by our people here in the United States of America. Why is that such a difficult concept for y'all to get? Why is this such a difficult concept for you to get? We have our own industries. We don't have to depend on other people outside of the United States of America. We only do this because we've been subsidizing our lifestyle and giving away our own dollars in our own industries for a long time. Now, I don't mind having partnerships with people outside of the United States of America, but that's in addition to what we already have going on. If we can't meet the expectations by scaling up and doing it ourselves, then we will get extra from you. But absolutely, positively, that would be like if I have a job opening, right? And I have the ability to keep the money the job, the resources in my own community, within the bag chasers, right? And I go to the bag chasers first, or I go outside of the bag chasers and I say, you know what? I'm going to get this person. I'm going to get this person. I'm going to get this person. Now, I have more than capable people within my own community, but it would almost be like treason for me to seek out outside resources before I exhaust everything within my own social circle. Y'all said that we need to keep resources within our own neighborhoods, right? But you can't wait to run over there to Aldi. Aldi is not even from here, but they got cheaper prices. Is everything that's cheaper better? That's why y'all homes is falling apart. You always want to go outside of the United States of America for something. No, I'm cool. I'm cool. I only want what's here. I only want what's here first. Now, after I exhaust all of the resources, or after I have the stuff that's here first, then I will consider other things outside from other countries. But if it's not made here in the United States of America, I'm always going to seek the person that's in my own community. I don't want an international person to come in and do all of the building and the excavating and all of the stuff in my homes. No, I'm going to go and get the person that's local to my community. I'm getting my neighbor. Oh, wait a minute. You build decks? I needed a deck. The person that's building the decks for my home is the same person that's the coach, or not a coach, I'm sorry. He's one of the parents, him and his wife, they're the parents of my daughter's sparring partner in Taekwondo. My daughter's sparring partner in Taekwondo, their parents are the ones that own the deck company that lives up the street from us that is going to be doing the decks for all of our houses. Why would I go to somebody else that I don't even know when I can talk to the person that actually does a phenomenal job right here inside of the United States of America? Everybody got to pay. Everybody got to pay to do business inside of the United States now.
Prices of those steel and aluminum imports will rise, and that'll have an impact on U.S. steel and aluminum prices. Already in the past 2 months, steel up 30%, aluminum up 15%. And this is critical, obviously, for American consumers because, as you mentioned, cars, appliances, medical devices are going to see the impact of these tariffs eventually. We heard from Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick last night. He talked about what he thought tariffs meant for the economy. Take a listen.
Will these policies be worth it if they lead to a recession, even a short-term recession?
These policies are the most important thing America has ever had.
So I wish we was on After Hours right now, because I would tell Kevin Jackson to suck something. But I'm not going to do that because we on a family show. So Kevin Jackson, you get a reprieve today.
It is worth it. I don't think the only reason there could possibly be a recession is because of the Biden nonsense that we had to live with.
Now, Goldman Sachs just upped their forecast on a recession to 20% from 15%. The odds are still relatively low, according to them, but people are talking about this, what this means for the overall economy. Futures this morning slightly up. They could just be waiting to see what happens
Trini
today.
Life, you got
bit of a recovery.
Yesterday, I think futures were up too, right?
I was going to say, in the morning they were up, and that obviously changed throughout the day. And if we have it here, it's just interesting to see what the markets have done in the first term and the second term with Trump. We may not have that, but essentially, markets were up. There. Okay. Markets were up for the first term. You can see it right down there on the left-hand side of your screen. Markets have turned down just in the first 6 weeks of his second term. Obviously, many more years to go, but it just shows the really big difference in what is happening in the first couple weeks of his administration. We will wait to see what happens at the opening bell. So much can change in so little time. The EU, as we know, just reciprocated against us $28 billion worth of goods now taxed because of these aluminum and steel tariffs.
CNN's Matt Egan is joining me now. What does the latest round of tariffs really mean to Americans? Because you don't feel it immediately, but Wall Street generally gives you some sense. You do get hit there first.
That's true. I mean, look, Sarah, another day, another tariff hike from the president. The goal here is to try to level the playing field in global trade. The problem, though, is that some experts are warning it could backfire because steel and aluminum are critical inputs, right? They are used to make everything from medical devices and cans, appliances, infrastructure.
If we ever have a war, for example, let's just say hypothetically we ever had a war. One of the things that is critical critical in a war, and I'm not saying, nor am I wishing this on anybody, but in order for you to also have the backbone to have a conversation of having war, for example, you have to have the critical resources and the infrastructure to support such things. A lot of people are only familiar with the fighting that happened in World War I and World War II, but they're not familiar with the fact that we transformed our factories into basically the manufacturing that needed to make the things that we needed in order to engage in these things. They don't have that conversation. We need the steel. We need the aluminum. We need all of that. We cannot be dependent on outside resources for our own survival. You cannot. You have to be self-sustaining. You have to be self-sustaining.
Structure, power lines, and the big one, cars. Remember, cars, they have they have a lot of steel and aluminum in them, right? And car prices, they're already basically at record highs. So it's hard to see how making a key input more expensive with this 25% tariff is going to help things here. Some experts are warning that, yes, this could backfire on not just consumers, but also on workers. I talked to Ken Smetters. He's a professor at Wharton, where the president went to school, and he said this is not going to help manufacturing. It
Absolutely will
hurt manufacturing. Even Alcoa, one of the biggest aluminum makers in the United States, has warned that these tariffs could kill 100,000 American jobs. There's also the risk that it ignites a global trade war. The U.S. imports a lot of steel and aluminum each year, a lot of it from Canada, but also Mexico, China, the UAE, Brazil, South Korea. Now these countries have to decide how are they going to respond. The European Union, not wasting any time here, they immediately announced retaliatory tariffs on items that are made in America.
So let's go into exactly what they said, because there's no need in relying on CNN and their opinion. Let's go into exactly what the EU's retaliation was and what they said.
Good morning. The trade relations between the European Union and the United States are the biggest in the world. They have brought prosperity and security to millions of people, and trade has created millions of good jobs on both sides of the Atlantic. As of this morning, the United States is applying a 25% tariff on imports of steel and aluminum. We deeply regret this measure. Tariffs are...
Why do you think that they deeply regret it? Why would they deeply regret it? You know why they deeply regret it? Because, see, we don't sit there and complain about the fact that they don't embrace the majority of the products that we make inside of the United States of America. The only way that United States of America is thriving, I'm going to be very, very clear with y'all. Very clear. The only reason why we are awesome and why we grew to be awesome is because we pioneered most of the industries that the world now adopts, and then they took it and did it cheaper than us so that they can sell it back to us and then make us a financing nation. The only reason that we've thrived this long is because we purchase our own products. We don't get to sell to the world at the rate that the world sells to us. And so now that we're saying, okay, well, listen, we still got the biggest consumers. We still got all of the money. We still run up all of the bags. And so what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that we make America great again by supporting our own industries and allowing for our steel manufacturers to grow. Because I'm telling you, listen, go to Gary, Indiana, and go and look at U.S. Steel inside of Gary, Indiana, and then go and look at all of the neighborhoods. Go and look at the churches. Go and look at it. I've been there. Go to Pittsburgh. Go to Dearborn, Michigan. Go and look at these cities and look at what happens when an industry completely leaves, but we still have capacity. We have huge plants. We have huge manufacturing. We've made huge investments, but we have to sell it at a discount to compete against the world and selling our own products to our own manufacturers here inside of the United States of America, and they don't pass the savings on to the consumers. You know what they say? Oh, we got legacy costs. You know what legacy costs are? Those are the costs of what they paying from yesteryear because we became a financing nation. So, for example, they got to pay pensions. Even though they don't offer pensions anymore, they promise pensions to previous generations. So they have legacy costs that they have to account for that then feeds into what eats into the profitability of most of these countries or most of these companies. They don't pass the savings on to the consumers. Y'all want to sit here and complain about CEO pay and executive pay and all of this? Well, one of the reasons why they make so much money is because they increase the stock price or they increase the impact or the profitability of the company, which means they have no incentive to pass the savings over to the consumer. But if we then bolster our own industries and we allow for these towns to create jobs, what do you think that happens to they don't want tariffs because they don't want to have to compete with companies that's already inside of America to sell to Americans. Of course they're going to be aggravated by it.
Taxes. They are bad for business and worse for consumers. They are disrupting supply chains. They bring uncertainty for the economy. Jobs are at stake, prices up. Nobody needs that on both sides, neither in the European Union nor in the United States. The European Union must act to protect consumers and business. The countermeasures we take today are strong but proportionate. As the United States are applying tariffs worth $28 billion, we are responding with countermeasures worth 26 billion euros. This matches the economic scope of the tariffs of the United States.
Cool.
Our countermeasures will be introduced in 2 steps, starting with April 1st.
Look at the traders. Simp, son husband, bottom, pillow biter. We got a pillow biter in the chat, y'all. All of the people that are traders, even if you disagree with the Trump administration, we don't root for other countries against our own. All of these people that are trading, we gonna call them pillow biters. Shout out to Jason Pillow Biter in the building.
And fully in place as of April 13th. In the meantime, we will always
Shout out
remain.
To, Sam Aiden, another pillow biter in the chat. Look, he got a cartoon. He not even old enough to be here. He had to change his settings on his computer in order to be here. Look at his avatar. This is not even a grown man, y'all. This is a child that's supposed to be in school right now. Sam, go to school. Go to school, Sam.
Opened to negotiations. We firmly believe that in a world fraught with geo-economic and political uncertainties, it is not in our common interest to burden our economies with such tariffs. We're ready to engage in a meaningful dialogue. I have entrusted Trade Commissioner Maroš Šefčovič to resume his talks to explore better solutions with the United States.
Thank you very much, Madam President. Let me also start by echoing the sentiment of deep regret.
They got a female president over there that looked like Hillary Clinton, a skinny Hillary Clinton. Yeah, tariffs.
Today's tariffs from the United States take us in a wrong direction.
Imagine us saying that. Imagine us saying Madam President Kamala Harris, Madam President Hillary Clinton. Oh, man, we almost fumbled. We almost made a huge mistakes. Madam President, no, dog. Tariff.
Direction, and the reason is manifold. The EU-US trade partnership is well-balanced and highly profitable for both sides. It's the biggest trade relationship in the world. On steel and aluminium particularly, we share some of the challenges, for instance, global overcapacities driven by non-market practices. And the EU here is clearly part of the solution, not the problem. Last month, during my visit to Washington to raise these points, it was indeed clear that the EU is not the problem, making today's measures even more unjustified. I argue to avoid the unnecessary burden of measures and countermeasures, but you need a partner for that. You need both hands to clap. The U.S. administration has opted to pursue a harmful course
Lisa,
of
that's what they are. They're
unjustified
pillow
tariffs
biters.
leaving us with no choice but.
Hey, pillow biters. I got some other names, but I don't want to go that far because again, I know that this is a family program. But shout out to all of the traders here in the United States of America that's saying, "Go Canada, go Ukraine." These are pillow biters, gut getters. You know what a gut getter is? Oh,
To respond, and that's exactly what we are doing. First, as of April, we'll automatically reinstate our current
and this is Europe. This is not Canada. Canada is going to meet with Trump, and they made their concessions already. This is Europe specifically. All right.
Rebalancing measures from 2018 and 2020, effectively targeting 4.5 billion euros worth of U.S. goods exported to us. And second, the Commission is taking decisive steps towards the package of additional countermeasures applying to 18 billion euros of U.S. exports to the EU. Over the next 2 weeks, we will consult with the key stakeholders to help us shape this new package. The objective is to counterbalance the increased trade value affected by the U.S. tariffs while minimizing the impact on European businesses and consumers.
So, yes, worldwide, we not just targeting one country or another. Worldwide, we are implementing tariffs on the steel and aluminum that is imported inside of the United States of America or exported from other countries. And we are going to continue to bolster the industries that is supported here in the United States of America. Congratulations and shout out to Trump. We appreciate him for doing all of the hard work, heavy lifting. And all we got to do is benefit from it. You know what I'm saying? Make sure you hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Let me read some of these super chats, and then we're going to continue on with the show because we got to get to the protesters. We got to get to them. We have to hold them accountable. Sifo says, pray for my mom. She's having surgery for her tumor. Lord bless my Dukes. Bless Sifo's mom. Bless her to come through this with flying colors. Be with our doctors and bless their hands and bless there to be no suffering and no any kind of hard times or issues and problems. In Jesus' name, amen. Aaron L. says, unjustified. Don't they already have tariffs on us? I believe that they do. Snap Tech Fix is in the building, says, cooked bro with accountability, got my son's DNA test prenatal, easiest $1,600 ever spent. 80 speaking life and the people out here. Nee Gordon. Our Nee Gordon says, Trump is treating the world like Rick James. What did a hand take to the face? Tariff. He said President Trump. Shout out to you. I appreciate you. Thank you for holding me down. Nichelle says, thank you for helping us to better understand our trade position. We pay tuition to attend colleges and professors cannot break this down like you. Talk about it. Maybe I should become a professor. They don't make enough money. Enemies, foreign and domestic, says Daniel Smith. Thank you, my friend. Chasing the Alpha says, we have foreign cars all over the U.S. When you visit other countries, Tesla might be the only U.S. car made riding around. That is true. You are 100% true. 100% facts. Again, make sure you guys hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Let's move over to the next portion of the show. So, protests are happening over in New York because this young man right here, I think his name is Muhammad Khalil, and I brought this story to you guys earlier this week, decided that he wanted to make things difficult and he wanted to protest at Columbia and then disrupt classes. And I don't know if you guys remember or not, but they actually had to cancel graduations, and people that worked hard for 4 and 6 and 8 years that were supposed to be a part of graduation ceremonies, they had to cancel their graduations. I might have to see if I can pull that up. I remember Yep, 10 months ago. 10 months ago, I remember us having to say that graduation ceremonies was going to be canceled, and I think that it was because of protests. Don't quote me on it. Let me see if I can pull it up for myself, and then we'll go into that. Because I remember, I strongly remember that it was certain graduation ceremonies that were canceled because of protests. And let me see if I can get that up real quick. Just remember that, because I remember reporting on it.
Protests over the war continue in the city.
And today, Columbia canceled its main graduation ceremony because of what's been happening on campus. We have team coverage for you. CBS 2's Dave Carlin standing by at Hunter College, where the campus has gone remote ahead of a planned protest. But first, we go to CBS 2's Masa Saidi live outside Columbia's campus uptown right now. Masa.
Hi there, Maurice and Christine. Well, typically graduation day is one of the best days in a person's life, and usually there's a huge celebration that happens here on campus behind me. Well, that has been canceled, and students tell me they feel robbed. Columbia dental student Ari Rosen worked for years to get to this moment. Ari showed us the cap and gown he'll wear on graduation day. But it won't be quite what Ari and his family had hoped for.
I just heard it's always crazy. The streets are filled with parents. Everyone's excited, and I won't get to experience that.
Monday, Columbia University canceled its main commencement ceremony set to happen on May 15th at the South Lawn, where for weeks pro-Palestinian protesters had set up camp. From above, you could see the imprints left by the tents after the NYPD cleared the crowds. Now, instead of one big event, the university will host a series of smaller school-level ceremonies around the same time, mostly at Columbia's Baker Athletics Complex, which is about 5 miles away.
I wish they, took control a little earlier and it didn't let it get to this point. Thanks a lot.
So I remember that, and then I also remember this. Now tell me if I'm off on this, because this also happened later when they started to ramp up even more on their protests.
Vandals targeting the home of a top administrator at Columbia University. The hateful graffiti in Brooklyn over his handling of the war protest on the school's campus earlier this year.
And in addition to the paint, the vandals released insects in the building.
Crazy story. Eyewitness News reporter Jim Dolan live in Brooklyn Heights with what we know. Jim.
Yeah, Mike, residents, folks in the neighborhood woke up early this morning to the sound of glass breaking, and when they came down to investigate, they found this, but also a whole lot more as well. A blunt, garish message left behind for one particular resident, apparently by pro-Palestine demonstrators. The vandalism was unsubtle. Red paint, roughly the color of blood, spilled on the walls and sidewalk of the residence of Columbia University's chief operating officer, Kaz Holloway. The glass door shattered, bugs apparently set loose inside the residence, and these red triangles painted on the building's outer walls.
These red triangles, in addition to being used by Hamas to target folks that they wish to do harm to, were also used by Nazis to place on political prisoners, including Jewish people, in concentration camps during the Holocaust and World War II.
So this is what was happening on these campuses, and it was being led by people including Muhammad Khalil, apparently.
All of this, of course, an echo of the pro-Palestine demonstrations at Columbia University over several months at the beginning of the year.
So this is the things that was happening. This is what's being perpetuated. And now that Trump is in office, because nothing was happening when Biden was in office, but now that Trump is in office, this is what's happening to people like Muhammad Khalil, and they're now protesting his deportation hearings that is coming up.
A pro-Palestinian activist and former Columbia graduate student faces a hearing today to decide if he should be deported.
Protests sprung up throughout the city as demonstrators demand his release. Good Day's Briella Tomasetti is live at the federal courthouse in Lower Manhattan this morning with the latest on this report. Briella, good morning.
Tina and Tashani, good morning. Mahmoud Khalil is a permanent U.S. resident with a green card. He is currently being held down in Louisiana, but the Trump administration won't agree to send him back here to New York without a court order. Police say 12 people were taken into custody after demonstrators marched from Washington Square Park to Lower Manhattan and then clashed with police as they spilled onto the street and blocked traffic. A 25-year-old man was charged with obstructing governmental administration and disorderly conduct.
Listen, you can put all of the head garb and all of that stuff and the mask on that you want, but when we go and we fingerprint you and then we go and pull up your mugshot through the Freedom of Information Act, we gonna also figure out whether or not you got a green card or if you over here illegally, and we gonna deport you. So go ahead. We want you to come out here.
Protests were also held at Gracie Mansion after Mayor Adams declined to criticize the Trump administration for detaining Khalil and said he'd let the federal government do its job.
It's an attack on our fundamental rights to free speech and our rights to protest.
Yo, listen, y'all. I'm with it. Listen. Free speech protests. I'm not taking nobody seriously that has better hair than my wife. I'm not doing it. If their hair is bouncing like that and they got the just for me or any of that type of stuff, do you see how healthy his hair is? Dude, he got a brand new curl wand. He probably got the Dyson one, the air one that don't put the heat in your hair. Ladies, get the air one that don't put heat in your hair. I actually gave that one to my daughter. I bought her that one for Christmas. Do you see how healthy his hair is? Do you see how healthy his hair is? He got that freshly curled. Just for me. Hold on. Look how it's bouncing. Look how healthy it is. Look how it's bouncing.
It's an attack on our fundamental rights to free speech and our rights to protest.
And he talking like this. You look good, girl.
I feel really strongly that a legal American resident was illegally detained.
Khalil played a major...
Dog, I feel like I want to take a flight over to New York. Do I got anything going this afternoon? I don't think I got nothing going on this afternoon. What's the weather like over in New York?
In protests that swept Columbia's campus last spring. He was arrested at his university-owned apartment on Saturday. His lawyers insist he never committed a crime and was just expressing his political opinions. The Trump administration, on the other hand, believes he forfeited his rights to remain in the U.S., alleging he led activities aligned to Hamas, a designated terrorist organization. The White House says under the Immigration and Nationality Act, the Secretary of State has the right to revoke the green cards of individuals who are believed to be national security threats.
Mahmoud Khalil was an individual who was given the privilege of coming to this country to study at one of our nation's finest universities and colleges. And he took advantage of that opportunity of that privilege by siding with terrorists, Hamas terrorists who have killed innocent men, women, and children.
Let's actually go over to exactly what she had to say. I want to speak to what Caroline had to say about this situation.
As he's proposing tax hikes in the form of tariffs.
Why the Trump administration wants to deport the leader of anti-Israel protests at Columbia University at the campus there. Turns out there is a really good reason. If they'd only do a little work. Take a look.
This is an individual who organized group protests that not only disrupted college campus classes and harassed Jewish American students and made them feel unsafe on their own college campus, but also distributed pro-Hamas propaganda, flyers with the logo of Hamas. That is what the behavior and activity that this individual engaged in.
So basically he was out here doing some of the worst, putting out propaganda, being an antagonist. He was supposed to be blessed to come over here and study at our major universities, shut up, get your education, and go home. But you decided to participate in group activities that was basically bad for the United States of America, getting people canceled, getting the graduations canceled, having vandalization going on in these organizations, and at these houses and at these dorms and at these universities, and he thought that he was going to still stay over here inside of the United States of America, no, you wouldn't be able to get away with that in no other country. You're not going to get away with it here.
All right, here now with our Hannity Washington briefing is the one and only White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt. I don't know what part I like better. Okay.
Somebody keeps saying that he had a green card. Green cards can be revoked. Your citizenship inside of the United States of America can be revoked. You do not have the same rights as a regular American citizen. For whatever reason, y'all don't get that. You don't get it.
I've read Hamas's charter. Does it not call for the destruction of Israel? Is this not recognized as a known terrorist organization? And if you're in this country and you support a terrorist organization and you're not a citizen in this country, why would one think that you have a right to stay in this country?
Everything you just said is true, Sean, and unfortunately, it appears the liberals and the legacy media think that if you are a foreign national, you can behave in any manner that you want. You can protest and push Hamas propaganda. You can side with a foreign terrorist organization that has killed American citizens, that has murdered innocent babies, men, women, and children across the globe. Under this administration, that type of activity, siding with radical Islamic terrorists, will not stand. And the Trump administration, at the direction of President Trump's executive order, has a zero tolerance policy for foreign nationals.
I want y'all to know, I don't know if, and this is really showing the ignorance of the United States of America and why most of our own citizens are treasonous, because they don't even understand. You are not a U.S. citizen just because you have a green card. You can become a U.S. citizen by going through the naturalization process, but you are not a U.S. citizen just because you have a green card. You can live and work in the United States of America indefinitely, but you are not a U.S. citizen until you go through the naturalization process. I need y'all to understand exactly how the U.S. laws work. Stop saying he was a U.S. citizen. He's not. He's not a U.S. citizen. He can live and work in the United States of America, but it does not mean that your green card cannot be revoked, that you cannot be deported. You did not go through the naturalization process to become a U.S. citizen. That is a completely separate process. If you do not understand the laws of the United States of America, shut the F up. You got 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. You need to listen instead of continuing to say stuff that you don't understand. A green card holder is not by default an American citizen. You need to understand the difference between the two. You need to understand the difference. You can't do what you want to do inside of the United States of America. You have to abide by our laws, or you will pay the consequences. You can't come over here causing a ruckus just because you married somebody else that is a U.S. citizen and you got a green card. You got to go through the naturalization process. Just because you're studying at our universities, just because you're not on a student visa, does not mean you are a U.S. citizen. I need you guys to understand and listen. Ask questions if you don't know. Stop using talking points from people that don't understand. All right?
Who are given the privilege of getting a visa and going to some of our finest, our nation's finest universities and colleges, studying at those institutions, and then siding with these radical terrorist organizations. And so this arrest that took place on the campus of Columbia is the first of many to come. Secretary Noem and Secretary of State Rubio are working together, and I would like to add and emphasize to the mainstream media who still doesn't get it, this is well within the President and the Secretary of State's authority. Secretary Rubio revoked this individual's visa based on the Immigration and Nationality Act because this individual clearly poses an adversarial consequence to the foreign policy and national interests of our great country. This was the right decision. President Trump promised he would stand up for Jewish American students, and he is delivering on that promise.
Somebody time out Sam Aiden. Sam, I like your difference of opinion. I like the fact that you oppose me on every single subject. and you think that you know, but one of the rules that we have that you're not abiding by is that you cannot spam the chat. Stop copying and pasting the same message over and over again. Now, that does not mean block him. That means time him out, let him think about his actions so that he doesn't repeat the same thing. And we're going to make an example of what happens when you break the rules of a show. You cannot curse. You cannot sit here and disrespect people and talk about their kids or whatever, which he's not doing. But we also say that you cannot spam the chat. I see you. I know that you want attention. I'm cool with people having a difference of opinion in me because I don't want to operate in an echo chamber, but do not spam the chat just to try to get my attention. It makes it difficult for other people to have a conducive conversation. All right?
Now, do the countries of Canada, does Mexico, does India, do countries in the European Union, do they practice free and fair trade with us, or do they put tariffs on American goods that most Americans don't know about?
America has been ripped off by our adversaries, but even more so by our allies for far too long, especially our neighbors to the north and to the south. If you look at our trade deficits, if you look at the tariffs that Canada in particular has placed on American agricultural goods to the tune of nearly 300%, look at the tariffs they've implemented on our automobiles. And finally, the American people have a president, Sean, who is standing up for them, for hardworking American workers and their families, for our industries.
When we time people out, that's the equivalent of being in kindergarten and telling somebody to go stand in the corner and think about your actions. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't come back to join a class. Doesn't mean that you can't come back to school tomorrow, but we're going to put you in the corner. Now, putting you in the corner is not the same thing as giving you a pink slip. Giving you a pink slip is telling your parents that you were bad, telling them to write, sign the signature, and you're going to get a whooping when you get home. You're just getting a reprimand here in the Millionaire Morning Show. So what we're basically saying is, hey, think about what you was doing before you do it. That way you don't do it again, and you can come back into the classroom when you get done with your timeout, okay? We just sitting you in the corner for a second, telling you to face the wall while you can hear everybody else and all of the other kids playing, and now you getting mad because you wanted to join. You should have thought about that. We told you what the rules were. You know what the rules are before you come in here. Do not spam the chat. That's all it is. Just sit in the corner for a little bit, stare at the wall, and stop turning your head around to see other kids playing.
The beauty of President Trump's tariff policy is that it's very simple. All he's asking for is reciprocity. We are finally going to treat nations the way that they have treated the United States for far too long. And Canada saw, if you want to step up into the big leagues with President Trump, you better be prepared to play. It looks like they are not, because the Ontario Premier already dropped his 25% tariff on electricity after having a bold threat to shut off electricity for the American people. President Trump said absolutely not. He did what is right. He stood by the American people, and his tariff policy is working. It's going to make America wealthy again. It's going to bring jobs back home. And to every investor around the world, if you come to the United States and do business, you will face no tariffs. You will have the lowest taxes on the planet, and that's how we're going to make America strong and wealthy again.
Couldn't have said it better myself. I've been preaching this for weeks, and she just summarized it for y'all, and now y'all gonna act like y'all get it. Couldn't have said it better myself. Finally. It's my Rolex dealer talking about they got another watch for me. We'll talk about it. Make sure you hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. That is one of the reasons why they're putting tariffs in place. They're reaching out to businesses outside of the United States of America. Come on over here and do business with us, all right? Let's see what we got here. Well, first, let's do this. Let's see what we got here. Shout out to all of the people that's getting deported from protesting inside of the United States of America. I'm going to read Super Chats now. Aaron L. says, India has 100% tariffs on us and they getting rich. Facts. Pookie's friend Ray Ray is going to say some wild and crazy stuff, but he said, yeah, they canceled the graduations. I remember dropping off migrants up there so that they could be agitators. Lisa M. What up to Lisa? Lisa says, since watching you now, I'm on my debt-free journey. Credit score hit 800. I'm not sure if I've ever had a credit score at 800. I think I got like a 774 right now. Got to log into my bank account and see what's going on. I don't think that I've ever hit 800 before. I think I'm at like 774 or 784 or something like that. House being paid off in less than 7 years, and my goal is to be a bag chaser in 2026. Talk about it, Lisa. I love that. Madman Mir says, I'm from NYC. This is the media center of the world. Anything the mainstream news says goes. Colleges are a place now where they teach that your feelings are your facts, forced into democracy at birth. Ryan Powell says, Democrat plus CNN equal DMN. Get it? Demon? Yes, I do get it. I get it. I'm a little smarter than y'all give me credit for. Is that Weird Al Yankovic? He has some good hair. Keep in mind that some of these protesters are getting paid. Yes, some of them are paid protesters. Thank you to Zoe Cartwright. I appreciate you. Michael Russell says, nah, homie has coming to America here. Just let your soul. I'm not going to do it. You crazy, AD, but we love you. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate you, Liz. Canada put 25% tariffs on the U.S. this morning. That's because we putting worldwide tariffs on American and steel products. We're not backing down. We're not backing down. Make sure you hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Breaking news. Zelenskyy agrees to a ceasefire courtesy of the United States of the Americas. Make sure you hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. This is Marco Rubio breaking down exactly what Zelenskyy and Ukraine agreed to, with hopes that Russia will now agree to a ceasefire and we can finally put this war behind us. Let's get to it.
Their response officially, and are they willing to accept the ceasefire unconditionally?
Well, I mean, we don't know the answer to the last question. That's what we want to know, whether they're prepared to do it unconditionally. We'll have contact with them today. There's already been contacts at different levels with counterparts, different members of the administration, and that'll continue. But as far as the Russian reaction to it, that's really the question here. And that is, this is a few hours old. We're going to bring it to them directly. We're going to say that Ukraine is prepared to stop all battlefield activity and begin the immediate process of negotiating an enduring end to the war. And we'll see what their response is. If their response is yes, then we know we've made real progress and there's a real chance of peace. If their response is no, it would be highly unfortunate and it would make their intentions clear. So that's what we're hoping to hear from them. And obviously, as I said, that this was not prearranged for them. So they're probably processing the news the same as the rest of the world is. So we hope to have a positive answer from them. The ball is truly in their court.
So now Zelenskyy, of course, we already knew that he was going to bend the knee, so it was no need in continuing to let more people die or to prolong the inevitable. He should have already did this. I don't know why he continued to do it, outside of the fact that I've looked at multiple different reports and I've been watching and researching and deep diving. And I am realizing that Zelenskyy is probably benefiting from this war financially, and he seems to be a dictator. But the United States of America is accomplishing something that Biden and Kamala Harris never could never do. Now, we know that Trump has a direct line to Putin. Hopefully him and Marco Rubio can negotiate a ceasefire on their front, because apparently they're, according to what Marco Rubio is saying right now, they are now just now getting the news also. And so we need Russia. We can hold them accountable and say, hey, y'all need to come to the table now. And they're basically saying that we should be able to stop this war, stop the killing, stop the war machine, stop the American taxpayer dollars from going over and funding this nonsense. And we need to end this once and for all. We don't want any more people kidnapped inside of Ukraine. We don't want any more women raped inside of Ukraine and pushed to the front lines or made to be a concubine and a spoil of war. We want this to end, and we want it to end now. It's the right thing to do from a Christian perspective. It's the right thing to do from a perspective of American taxpayer dollars being used to fund this war machine, and it's the right thing to do to make sure that we get world peace so that we can be a prosperous nation again.
Nike Chin with the Voice of America. What would be a good G7 joint statement on Russia and on China?
Well, I think the perfect statement would be that the United States has done a good thing for the world and bringing this process forward, and now we all eagerly await the Russian response and urge them strongly to consider ending all hostilities so people will stop dying, so bullets will stop flying, and so a process can begin to find a permanent peace. I think the first step in all this is the acceptance that there is no military solution to this conflict.
Facts.
Neither side can militarily achieve their maximalist gains, their maximalist goals. Neither side can achieve them through the military side. The only way this conflict can end is through negotiation. That's the only way you're going to have peace, is through negotiation. And so we need to start that process. And it is hard to start a process when people are shooting at each other and people are dying. And so our hope is that we can stop that, all these hostilities, and get to a negotiating table where both sides, over some period of time with a lot of hard work, can find a mutually acceptable outcome that, in the case of Ukraine, obviously secures their long-term prosperity and security.
Mr. Secretary, Tom Bateman, could you just update us on Mr. Witkoff's plans for Moscow and whether he'll be meeting with President Putin? And then separately, if you wouldn't mind elaborating on something that Mr. Waltz said yesterday about...
Well, before we get to that question, I wonder if any Congress members, if any Democrats, if MSNBC, if CNN, if any of these organizations are going to give Trump credit or Marco Rubio credit or the Trump administration and his cabinet picks credit for ending or getting this ceasefire done so that we can be on the path to ending this war that should have never started in the first place between Russia and Ukraine. Do you think that it's a possibility that they'll give him any credit? Do you think that anybody, because listen, preserving American life, I think that should be standard across the board. Preserving Ukrainian lives and Russian lives should also be standard across the board. Preserving lives in the world should be standard across the board. No man should be forced to go and die for a war that is basically benefiting other rich people. And nobody, and I mean nobody, should be able to benefit from other rich people, basically financially benefiting off of you going and losing your life and killing your legacy. That's just not right. It never should be right, but they don't want to give them credit for any of that.
The specifics that you discussed with Ukrainians about what the end of the war would look like. You had mentioned we're not going to get maps out and draw lines, but did you actually talk about territorial concessions?
Well, we had conversations. As far as Steve's trip, I'm not here to, I'm not going to make any announcements about specific dates, times, or even confirm such a trip. Suffice it to say there's going to be multiple points of contact with the Russians to gauge, are they willing to do this or not? And as far as the conversations that were yesterday, when you sit down with a counterpart like Ukraine, we're not going to negotiate this publicly. We're not going to actually put out there sort of what we talked about, because in any negotiation, there's certainly an element where you don't want one side to be giving away all this leverage from a public perspective. We had a broad conversation about what it would, but I think the bulk of our conversation was what a negotiation process would look like in terms of not the specific conditions, but rather the timing of it, sort of the steps they would like to see taken. The Ukrainians made very clear that this isn't just about ending a war. They need to get their prisoners of war back. They need to get the children back. They'd like to see an exchange of prisoners of war. They'd like to see their children back. So there's all sorts of things tied to the humanitarian assistance is important as well. There are areas of Ukraine that have been badly damaged that require immediate assistance. So these are the sorts of things that we talked about as being inclusive in the negotiation process. So really the bulk of our conversation when we got to that stage of it was discussing the kinds of items that need to be on a negotiation agenda, even when we hopefully get there.
He also mentioned security guarantees, which is something that there has been some reluctance for the administration to elaborate on. Are you committing to security guarantees?
I think the point to understand is that we're looking at is securing their long-term, what we want to see, like any country in the world, Ukraine wants their long-term security. They want to make sure that this doesn't happen, and we all do. I mean, what is the point of spending all this time to get a ceasefire, hopefully, and then a negotiated end of the war, only to see it re-spark up again in about 6 years, 4 years, 3 years. We're not interested in that, and they certainly aren't either. So I think the question really is more about a deterrence. Can Ukraine create a sufficient deterrent against future aggression, against future attack, against future invasion? Because every country in the world has a right to defend themselves, and no one can dispute that. So that will most certainly have to be part of the conversation. But again, I don't think there isn't a peace to secure until you have a peace. But there's no way to have an enduring peace without the deterrence piece being a part of it.
Can I just follow up on that particular point? Because the joint statement talks about European partners being involved in the peace process, but that's only attributed to the Ukrainian delegation. There doesn't appear to be US support.
Well, I think what it says in the statement is that they raised the need for the Europeans. But I've already said publicly, the Europeans have issued a series of sanctions against the Russian Federation. And I would imagine that in any negotiation, if we get there, hopefully, with the Russians, that they will raise these European the European sanctions that have been imposed upon them. So I think that the issue of European sanctions are going to be on the table, not to mention what happens with the frozen assets and the like. And so I think it's self-evident that for there to be a peace in Ukraine, at the end of that process, there's going to have to be some decision made by the Europeans about what they're going to do with these sanctions and so forth. And so that's why I think they have to be necessarily involved in this regard. Now, whether they're involved at the front end of it or at the back end of it, it'll have to play itself out. And then obviously there's also all sorts of security promises that European countries have made to Ukraine, that will also be, I imagine, a part of this conversation as we move forward. So we don't disagree with that statement. I think the statement just reflects that they raised it.
Could you back?
So essentially what we see happening, and thank you to Marco Rubio for adding additional context so we can know exactly what's going on, is that Zelenskyy and Ukraine finally relented and they said, listen, we're going to agree to a ceasefire. What that ceasefire means is if Russia accepts, then we can stop the killing. It does not mean that there's a peace deal. It does not mean that the war is over. It means that we can stop the killing so we can negotiate and have a conversation on how to get all of the working parts moving back to where we can either figure out where we, what the peace terms are, if the hostages are returned, how do we put things in place to prevent there ever from being a war again? What kind of humanitarian aid do we need in order to go over there and rebuild? Who's going to participate in the rebuild and all of that? So the details, all of the details would be ironed out. Now it's Russia's turn. We're assuming that Trump has a good enough relationship to where he can deploy the correct people to make sure that they get this deal done. And then ultimately that leads to a permanent ceasefire and an ending of the war. But we'll see what happens. I'm going to continue to keep you guys up to date on what's going on. And hopefully we can end this war once and for all. This is a good thing. This is a good thing. Trump said that he would end the war. Promises made, hopefully promises fully kept. All right. Let me go ahead and read some of these super chats, and then we're going to move over into Tesla. I want to talk about Tesla, Trump, and Elon Musk really quickly. Chat for more says, AD, which two Omega watch line do you recommend for the first time buy as a milestone of an accomplishment? I would suggest, now obviously this is according to the budget, but I would suggest, Chadford, that your first watch, your first milestone accomplishment watch be a Rolex. It may be a little bit more difficult to acquire. I would go through an authorized dealer. I would rebuild the relationship. You can get a Air King. An Air King is a really, really nice watch. Any watch in the Rolex line is nice. You can get an Air King. My first watch that I bought, my first big boy watch, was a Submariner Date. A Submariner Date. I actually vlogged it. Let me see if I can find that video. Yep, that was the first watch that I bought right there. There it is.
So the dilemma is that I'm here in Chicago, right? And we just so happen to pass the Rolex store. And I'm trying to determine whether or not I want to buy my first Rolex here. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Basic, you know, it's not even something like
It's pretty awesome. I'm about to hit the road, just gassed up. Ship Rita and Dion in there to use the restroom, and I'm about to go pick up our stuff. You know, when I go on the trip, I gotta stop at the Nara. Always number one. Number two is the first loser. Hey, if y'all notice, I don't have a lot of guys around me. I only keep... Let me see what's going on here.
Hours. That means that there's no power in the watch at that point because the watch only keeps going because it knows it's on your wrist.
Yep.
It's amazing technology. But if that were to happen, you would unscrew the crown and then wind it 30 to 40 times to put energy into the mainspring, which is the movement of the watch. It's like the heart and soul.
So the dilemma is that we just so happen...
Good job. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Everything from me, AntonDaniels.com.
Start ever. Transition to do you show and everybody, all the hard work you kiss.
You know that.
Why is it a...
Exactly as what Rolex said it would do.
So what does it feel like to buy my first Rolex? I shouldn't have played that video. Now I'm getting a little bit sentimental. This is why I document the journey. I think I'm going to go ahead and launch my vlog. Anyways, let's get back to the show. My advice to answer your question, to go back to it, my advice to you would be to get your first big boy watch. Should be a Rolex, in my opinion. It could be any professional watch. It could be an Air King. It could be Submariner. It could be any of that. I would wait to get the Omegas. I started purchasing Omegas and I started getting into Omegas after I had already got majority of my Grail watches. But you want the thing that's going to keep and increase in value over a period of time. You will not regret it. If you don't have the money yet, keep saving the money and get on the waiting list. Just be patient. But your first watch should be a Rolex, in my opinion. All right? Man, I've been getting money for a long time. A long time. How much did I pay that? I paid $9,000, $8,000 something dollars for it, something like that. Anyways, that is what I paid for mine. Shout out to Chad for Morris. Wesley Turner says, Trump said, get down to lay down to Zelenskyy. Class E Beats goes on to say, salute, brother. I appreciate you. I appreciate you too. Class E Beats. Nikki P is in the building, says, got a super sticker for you. I appreciate you. Thank you, Nikki P. Did the laptop come with the Rolex? Did the laptop come with the Rolex? I don't even know what that means. Good morning, AD. How would you develop discipline and consistency in your 30s? It's just a matter of making sure that you got a really good calendar and that you embrace routines. It just have to become a part of life. The same way that you go to work every single day and you don't miss because you know that that's just a part of what your life is. The same way that you sleep, the same way that you breathe, just make it a part of your routine and then it'll become normal, right? 30 days, do it for 30 days, it becomes a habit. Old versus new AD for the win. Shout out to y'all. I appreciate y'all. I'm about to start vlogging again. That just gave me the motivation that I need to start blogging again. Shout out to Devastator. I appreciate you. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Let's deep dive. Trump buys a new Tesla, then the Democrats is mad at it. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. This is what was happening between Trump and Elon Musk the other day.
Live from deep in the heart, this is The Will Cain Show. Right now in Washington, House lawmakers are about to start voting on a spending bill to keep the government running. We'll be watching that closely.
Well, we knew that. We already know that happened.
Start the hour. He was outside.
The United States, there is no place anywhere in the world that looks like that. It's
Mr. President, it's on Greenland.
And then if you add Greenland, that's even.
I mean,
Mr. President,
it's going to look beautiful.
Tell the CEOs tonight, Mr. President. Okay. What are you going to tell the CEOs? I'm going to look at this. I'm going to make a decision. Do you want to hear what my decision?
Let's see it.
Okay. What's your best of these cars? What do you think?
Well, the car that I drive is the Model S Plaid.
Which is that one?
That red one in the middle.
I like that. Yeah.
Yeah. I like that. It's 0 to 60 miles an hour in 2 seconds. It's faster than a Ferrari.
It's pretty fast. I don't know if my people can handle it. They're gonna be using it more. I'm not allowed to use it.
It looks fast.
That's a fast one.
Just to be clear, sir, the 50%, is that going to go into effect on Canada or not?
Which one?
The 50% tariffs.
I'll let you know about it.
Okay.
I'll let you. But I
Trump be
appreciate
so
his
chill,
call.
man.
I thought it was nice. This is beautiful. Whoa. Should I get in?
Get in.
Yeah. Okay.
Have you ever sat
Let me
behind
get
the
in
steering
a
wheel of
second.
one of these? Of a Tesla?
You want my notes?
Yeah.
They gave me notes. I said, I'm not Biden. I don't need notes.
I'll take one. I can take it.
Thank you. Let me get into this sector.
I don't think that Biden will ever stop being the brunt of every joke. He will always be the catalyst for inflation from 2020 all the way up until 2025, basically. Biden is going to be the brunt of every single joke. Sleepy Biden, he said, man, they gave me notes. I don't need no notes. I'm not Biden. Hey, somebody told me that Trump was losing his cognitive ability and that he was actually losing his faculties. He wouldn't be able to communicate clearly anymore. He looks pretty alive to me. He looks pretty happy. He looks pretty chill. He don't look stressed out. He looks like he's having a good time. Shout out to my prez. I love my president. They be so mad at us because we America first and we love our president.
Service go crazy.
I mean, if you actually drove it around, it would really be wild.
Wow.
I get on this other side.
That's beautiful. This is a different panel than I've had. Everything's computer. That's beautiful. Wow.
Yeah, this is a break and an accelerator. Give secret service about that.
That's beautiful.
Can you start it?
Should I? Let's hear the engine.
You
gonna get it wrapped in gold?
So, do you want to actually drive it?
You don't want me to drive it, do you?
I saw Biden do a test loop here once in the Jeep.
Yeah,
Very easy.
that's you're the only one that saw it.
It's like driving.
This is really amazing.
You gotta get it. Mr. President, you gonna get it wrapped in gold?
Think Biden could get into that car? I don't know. That's beautiful.
Yeah. Mr. President talks about some of the violence that's been going on around the country at dealerships. Some say they should be labeled domestic terrorists.
I will do that. I'll do it. I'm going to stop them. We catch anybody doing it because they're harming a great American company. You know, I've stuck up for the NFL. I've stuck up for a lot of American companies and other companies, but American companies. I did a very big favor for the NFL. I do favors for all of them. When you heard an American company, especially a company like this, supplies so many jobs that others are unable to do, when you do that, those people are going to go through a big problem when we catch them. And we have you got a lot of cameras up. We already know who some of them are. We're going to catch them. And they're bad guys. They're the same guys that screw around with our schools and universities, the same garbage. And no, we're going to catch them. And let me tell you, you do it to Tesla and you do it to any company, we're going to catch you and you're going to go through hell.
Mr. President,
what do you tell CEOs tonight at the Business Roundtable, especially with the
Well, I have a roundtable to make in a little while. I just consider this much more important because I want to buy one of these My whole staff is so excited because I told them they're going to safely use them, and they can't believe it. So Margot, wherever you are, Margot, she's going to use it. They're all going to be using it, and they're going to have a good time using it. And if I can, oh, there you are, Margot. Look at Margot's right there. What are you, a member of the press now? I think she's become a member of the press. Takes great pictures. What do you think of it, Margot? Do you like the idea?
I love it.
Okay, good.
We're gonna have fun.
They're very happy.
Mr. President, your comments the other day not ruling.
This is the beauty of having great friends. So let me speak to this a little bit. First, from a marketing perspective. Did you know that Tesla completely got rid of its marketing department, that they got rid of their PR department, they were actually pioneers in it, and they incentivized other companies to do it. And part of the reason that they did it is because Elon Musk was so transformative, in which that can be a good thing or a bad thing. And that's why shareholders are always trying to rein them in and get them to focus on what's best for Tesla and all of this other stuff. To have a person like Trump, basically, because you are making a sacrifice for the United States of America and auditing the federal government and also putting your name on the line as a result of it, to have a person like Trump, who we argued last night on After Hours, is one of the biggest names in the world, to go in, get in your product and basically do a commercial for it and advertise for it, and it not cost you anything as far as the marketing to the actual company itself, is a plus. It's a benefit. It's a benefit because you're bringing more visibility. He was allowed to bring multiple different products, including the new Model Y, the Cybertruck, and the Model S onto the White House, up to the White House, to be able to promote it, and it's dope. Really, it was a promotional event. It was him basically giving his friend and throwing his friend some visibility, and also purchasing a product to make sure that he bring more marketing to that particular product, because it is a great American company. Now, I know that there's different people like Anderson Cooper who did a whole video or did a whole soliloquy on it and was talking about, I can't believe that he's out here Listen, if we can't promote American companies because we are from America, Chinese promote Chinese companies, Japanese promote Japanese companies, Europeans promote European companies, Germans promote German companies. I don't think that Canadians have an auto manufacturer. They lean into the auto manufacturers from the United States of America. But in a general sense, people promote their own products. They ban outside products from being driven by their officials. That is one of the reasons why Cadillac has always made and created the products that the president drives around. The actual presidential vehicle is made and manufactured by General Motors and Cadillac. It is a staple in the United States of America. It has always been a product. I told you guys that I was going to buy a Cybertruck if Trump won the president of the United States of America. That's exactly what I did. I support American companies, American manufacturers. I have one at least from every single manufacturer. I have a car from Tesla, all major manufacturers in the United States of America. I'm looking to get one from Rivian. Maybe we'll get a Rivian soon. I have one from Tesla. I have one from Chrysler. I got the Challenger. I got one from Ford, right? We got the Bronco, and we got one from GM. We need a new one from GM because I got the 96 Impala, but I don't have anything new. We need a new one from GM. So I support my American manufacturers. We actually got two from Chrysler. We got the Ram, the TRX Ram, and then we got the Hellcat, the Challenger Hellcat. But before we ever start to include or embrace any outside products, we got to support America first. I think that this was awesome. I think it's beautiful. This is what you do for your friends. You give them an alley-oop. I don't know about Lucid. Lucid is not an American company, is it? Lucid sells cars in the United States of America, but I don't think that Lucid is an American company. Rivian is an American company. Maybe we'll go and get a Rivian. Maybe we'll purchase a Rivian for my birthday or something like that. I don't know. But yeah, man. And maybe I need to get a new Chevy for somewhere. I don't want no Camaros. I don't want nothing like that. Maybe I'll get the new Corvette. Maybe he'll get a ZR1 or something like that. But yeah, man, this is pretty dope. Let me see if there's anything else of mine out of this.
Out a potential recession seemed to rattle the stock markets. The Commerce Secretary said there wouldn't be one.
Boom. Just so you know.
Just specifically on the recession.
Yeah.
Do you think there will be a recession?
I don't see it at all.
I like the Yukon Denali. It's a dope vehicle, Shanice.
But as I said, I can do it the easy way or the hard way. The hard way to do it is exactly what I'm doing, but the results are going to be 20 times greater.
Mr. President,
and remember, Trump is always right.
And what do you say to Americans?
If you look at what I've said over the last 10 years, Trump has been right all the time. This is the way to do it. We're going to make America great again. You know, to make it great, you
they
have
do
to
have that new
jobs,
Escalade. You're right. It just won't fit in my garage.
I look at some of the things that, like this last administration, he was the worst president in the history of our country. Nothing was happening. Nothing. He had no idea what was going on. Our country went to hell. And then to allow millions of people
it's not anything wrong with the Camaro, Dean Murray. It's just that it's not my preferred vehicle. I had a Mustang. I had a 5.0 Mustang at one point. I loved it at the time that I had it, but I'm not into it anymore. I've kind of outgrown a Mustang. So I love Fords though. I love Ford pickup trucks. I love Ford cars. I love Ford everything. So I am a Ford fan. I really like the new design language of Lincoln. I really I want either Lincoln or Rivian. Lincoln or Rivian need to give me a deal. We going after Lincoln and Rivian for the sponsorships. I love the new Nautilus. I think that the new Nautilus is beautiful. I can't wait till they come out. I want to see what the new Navigator is going to look like. I like the new Escalade, but I think that we should support American companies, and that's all that Trump was doing here, all right? Anyways, make sure you guys hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. And let me read a few more super chats, and then I'll get y'all out here for the day, all right? Two people in this world you don't play with, Trump and 50 Cent. They let nothing go, says Eric Wealth Harris. Manifest Love is in the building, says, I saw on a bumper sticker yesterday in LA, Elon sucks, such haters, but still want to be a LA chic. Rivian, great, super smooth. Great car, super smooth. Or get the C8. I'm going to let the people determine what my next car is going to be, all right? And that'll be done on the new vlog. Anyways, make sure you guys continue to rock out with me. Make sure you tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description. Also, Tiege Hanley, 40% off your first order, plus 20% off of life. You said Lucid is an American company? All right. Well, I'll check into it. I didn't know if it was an American company or not. I know Rivian is. I like RJ Scarange. Anyway, tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description. I love you guys. I appreciate y'all. I'm going to see y'all and catch y'all tomorrow. Peace.